Grab your shovels and let's dig into the world of composting. In this episode, we explore the magical journey of turning food scraps into nutrient-rich soil. Get ready to learn how to manage your organic waste like a green thumb.
This podcast is where we will dig deep into the world of composting and explore how we can transform our lives and the environment. Together, we'll embark on a green journey that nourishes the soil, reduces waste and cultivates sustainable habits. All right, so with me is Mr. Danet Robe, and he is from RADA, right? Trelawney. Mr. Robe, what are the key benefits of composting in agricultural practices?
First, I would like to put it simple and put it on a broader heading in terms of our atmosphere.
Yes.
Collection of waste, whether solid or biodegradable, and managing a sustainable way is always a plus to the environment. So we would want to narrow it down to just agriculture because we also need fresh air to breathe for our plants to grow and for human beings to survive.
All right, perfect. So what would you say are the key benefits then to composting?
Composting is the management of a particular set of waste that is managed in a sustainable way and regenerate and replenishes nutrients to the earth.
Yes. All right. So everybody, householders, farmers, they can have good nutrients when they engage in composting. And how does this contribute to soil health and fertility? Does it improve it? I know for the synthetic fertilizers, persons often complain that after using, say, a particular area for a while, they need to probably rest it. I'm not sure if it is the same with composting. So how does composting contribute to soil health?
All right, composting along with crop rotation, you wouldn't have to rest your soil.
Okay.
So from a composting perspective, it would add back soil structure and soil fertility. And crop rotation would also now add back, take some nutrients, add back some nutrients. So you would have sustainable agriculture in a managed way.
Okay, perfect. What types of organic materials are suitable for composting?
Like your leftover of your cabbage, your yams, your lettuce, your cane, just about anything that you consume. You would take the good portion and the portion that is not edible. You would put it in a compost and add like grass or foal manure or pig manure or any one of them to it, which would give you some nutrients. And it would also aid in high nitrogen turnover in your soil.
Okay, and what is then the benefit of having nitrogen in the soil?
You wouldn't use like urea, you wouldn't have a need for like urea and sulfate of ammonia fertilizers in any large quantity because you would have it replenishing from your crops.
All right, perfect. So are there specific techniques or method that works best?
In composting?
Yes.
Yes. You would have to build, select a cool area, maybe at the back of your house, and you keep on carrying your biodegradable stuff and adding it and turning it so that the gases can break it down. And like within a month to 12, within 8 weeks to 12 weeks, you would have ready manure to use.
Okay, so then the composting is normally mature within 8 to 12 weeks.
Yes, and it is based on what you put in your compost because you know, say some things are harder to break down than some.
Okay, so what then are the things that you would consider to be easy to break down?
Like your cabbage, your lettuce, like your vegetables that you would use in your house and you take off what you don't want. Your yam peelings that would carry a lot of gas.
Yes.
That would have helped the breakdown quickly. So
Okay.
we would advise you to put those biodegradable stuff in your garbage pan that the garbage truck would come and collect. You would manage that aspect of your waste, and then it would give you back some amount of benefits that you would not have to take money out of your pocket to purchase.
Perfect. And that is such an excellent point, because so many of us as householders, we throw out this type of waste not knowing that we can actually save, because then we won't have to be buying synthetic fertilizers. And of course, composting is healthier for us as well, as human beings.
You
So,
cut your flowers edging and you cut your lawn and so forth. You put them on, they make compost for you.
of
Along
course,
with the waste from your kitchen, and you wouldn't have to go out and buy synthetic fertilizers.
indeed. Thank you, Mr. Rowe, for that. Are there any specific considerations or challenges when composting on a large scale for agricultural purposes? So say I am a farmer and I want to focus on composting for my plant fertilizers. What are the challenges that you think they would face?
I don't think you could produce that amount of fertilizer that you would want consistently within that time frame. But however, it would give you some saving. You wouldn't buy that amount of synthetic fertilizer. And for you to do it in a large scale, you might have to invest in machinery to constantly turn it.
Yes.
But in the long run, I think it would pay off, because the world today is going more organic food, and that's what the world wants. We're moving away from synthetic. So eventually, if you have it on a large scale, because plenty large scale farmers now are adding a lot of organic manure, that is like our poultry litter, pig manure, cow manure. So we are moving along that line, but it is only sad to know that it was when the cost of synthetic fertilizer reached to that, we start to apply it. So we are starting to have healthier soils, so we are going to get healthier crops.
Perfect, perfect. So you mentioned that, and that leads exactly to my next question. How can composting help in nutrient management and reduce the need for synthetic fertilizers?
All right. It is always said in agriculture, your darker soils, your chocolatey soils are the healthier soils.
Yes.
And what these healthy soils are made from is the cycle of your plants. They grow, they shed leaf, they shed branches, stay there and break down, and it build up that nice, rich texture and structure in the soil. So composting would only enhance and forward larger areas of healthy soils that is going to produce healthier crops. So composting would be the right way to go for us. It would also reduce our import bill to import raw material to make synthetic fertilizers, because we would not have that great demand.
True.
Yeah. So it would aid the country in foreign exchange and so forth.
Yes. Perfect. That is really something that we need to look seriously on, as individuals and of course as a country. What are some best practices for incorporating compost into the soil for optimal results? So I want the best results from my compost. What are some of the best practices that I need to bear in mind?
The best practices is plow it inside. So you would spread it on the land before it is plowed, and then you incorporate it. So when the plowing come now, it would go inside the soil. So it would not leave and lend itself to erosion, whether by wind or by water. It would be in the soil. So it would be blended in the soil.
Wow. Thank you, Mr. Rope, for that. I'm sure a lot of persons.
And for the smaller people, you would dig holes and put them inside where you are going to plant the plant.
Okay.
So when you dig out the hole, you would put in the compost manure, Then you
Yes.
cover it, but then you plant.
Ah, okay. Perfect. Thank you. How can compost help with pest and disease management?
I said earlier about a healthy soil
Yes.
that is going to give you a healthy plant. The healthier your plant is ability to fight off pests and disease are always greater.
Yes.
So we also have a reduction in synthetic fertilizers by having healthier plants taking up healthier nutrients.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
Are there specific regulations or guidelines that we need to follow when composting?
Well, I don't know of any nationally for the country
Yes.
because I know a man named Johnson that does organic fertilizers.
Yes.
I never see any specific regulations as to what you can add from what you can add for it to be considered organic.
Okay.
But if you are only infusing your natural things that you use around the farm and so forth, I think that would be the basis for organic fertilizer for growing organic food.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. And how does composting align with sustainable agricultural practices?
We would go back to the earlier days of agriculture where synthetic fertilizers were not introduced, and we never used to farm on this large scale. That is why I say managing compost would have taken some amount of investment. But the older folks demonstrated and showed us how we mulch and
Mm-hmm.
it stay there and break down, build
Yes.
back our soil structure, build back the soil fertility. You incorporate back the leaves after your plant and so forth in it. So it was something that was always practiced. We saw move away from the tradition to synthetic fertilizers.
Yes.
So it would just be a matter of us going back and expanding our knowledge base and what was already existed.
Okay. Perfect. And of course, we know that when we compost, we put less waste out for the truck to pick up. So yeah, and you had mentioned earlier that we actually save money by doing that.
So when I live in the rural areas of Trelawney,
Yes.
the truck would able of carrying a lot more synthetic waste if we eliminate our biodegradable waste and
Yes.
compost it. So when the truck come here, it would collect more garbage.
That is true.
That is of no use to us and our communities that are going into our gully, our blocking up
You're right.
our gullies and so forth and causing flooding.
That is true. That is
Yeah.
so true, Mr. Robe. And we know the distance that the truck has to travel, especially into South Trelawney,
Yes.
and so on.
And the
So
little districts and that it has to go in and so forth. So
yes,
if we educate the people here and look at it from an economical perspective, say we don't want plastic. Plastic is of no use to the farmers.
yes,
So let us put out the plastic, set up some backyard composting, and
yes,
let us compost enhance our health through proper eating. So we could grow
excellent,
our vegetables and our backyard gardens straight through composting and no synthetic fertilizer and chemicals.
excellent. Yes, of course. Totally agree with that. How can farmers and even householders educate and engage with the local community about the importance of composting? Well, you just said some part of it where we can have public education drives and
Yeah.
encourage people, householders in general, to practice composting, reduce the waste that we're putting out, and of course, enjoy organic produce. And of course, as well, to save money. But how else do you think we can, other than having a public education drive, how else can agricultural professionals like yourself, solid waste professionals like myself, go in and further educate persons about the benefits of composting?
I think we could have a merger in terms of solid waste and agriculture, in the sense that we would go around and do some demonstration piles of how to compost, maybe 5 in each district for a particular area, and
Yes.
show them the benefits of it, because people now learn by seeing things done or learn by doing things.
Yes.
So if they see it done and they start to see the rewards of it, I think more people would gravitate towards it.
Excellent. And I totally agree with you, Mr. Robe. And this is something that I will definitely be looking into and looking forward to. And having said that, do you have any final words you would like to leave with our listeners today?
All right. My final word would be, we are living in more challenging times in terms of disease, pest, food security. We have to start looking at how to manage our own affairs and manage it sustainable. I think composting can be as simple as starting there. You are going to get healthier plants, you are going to get healthier fruits, less pests, less disease. So your body naturally is going to be healthy.
Indeed.
So look at it from that perspective and make the right step.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mr. Robe, for joining us today and encouraging persons, highlighting, and of course, highlighting the importance of composting. So we want to encourage everyone to keep experimenting, learning, and spreading the word about composting. They can also share their knowledge with friends, family, and neighbors. Together, let's create a culture where composting becomes the norm and we all play a part in nurturing the earth. Remember, every banana peel, coffee ground, or fallen leaf can contribute to a greener and more sustainable world. Thank you again, Mr. Rowe.
We've composted our way through this episode, folks. Remember, composting is the manure of the matter when it comes down to gardening greatness. Stay tuned for our next episode as we dig deeper into more waste management wonders. Happy composting!